Hello, hello, hello! I'm Ace, welcome to Goblin-Inc. I decided to troll the YouTubers a little bit with the title. There is a lot of new, best Druid build, and it's just Bulwark, which we made a month ago, so it's not really new. But what if we've found a new best Druid build? Buckle up, we found some really interesting stuff, a lot of testing had to be done for this build. Big thanks to Lulu and Sanctum for helping with this testing and ideas. You guys, you had few demands for the build. Low-key stuff really. Must be safe from Grizzly Rage and Bulwark damage getting nerfed. As you know, Bulwark does more damage if mobs are above level 100, kinda wonky. No Grizzly Rage, of course, you guys are bored of it. Not using Tempest Roar also because it's too rare, and has to be able to clear T100 dungeons with the best gear. Or super high Nightmare dungeons with mediocre gear, right? Must, at the same time though, somehow, be the best PvP build. Look, before this, Druids couldn't beat Rogues, and Barbarians, that are hot quick bug abusing, are just slaughtering every other build. But this new build must be able to beat them, without using bugs though, of course. It has to hold also its own against not just every average player, but against the very best PvPers in the game. So to benchmark the build, Sanctum literally went to the PvP Discord and challenged on my behalf top 5 leaderboard players to start. And the build fucking slaps. The word actually spread around pretty quick in the community, and people just started to log in, make a fight club, try to kill the druid type of thing. In few days I only have a couple of deaths and I've been pretty much PvPing non-stop. And you can safely go there and ask, how are druid builds now in PvP? And it went from being, you know, Necro Sorc level, and now it's just one of the top builds. That's just how it is. The build also needed to have one more thing. You guys really wanted a Cataclysm build. Yeah, like people would come and ask, Mr. Streamer, like a Cataclysm build, do you have one? Like, bro, have you seen the damage of that thing? It heals the enemies. So, with all those requirements, easiest build of my life, 3 views on YouTube, I can say best and new build for Druid. So how would such a build work? This build was not easy to make, it's some quantum bullshit. The damage comes mainly from Overcharged Aspect and Runeworker's Conduit. That's why having Cataclysm is also amazing. While it doesn't do the damage itself, it procs Overcharged so fast, like a Super Storm boost type of stuff. The Bulwark Explosion also triggers Overcharged, so it's good to have, and it will do good damage in PvE if you go to very high Nightmares. In 70s and below, or in PvP, it will do very little, almost no damage, and it's really just there to proc Overcharged. Other lightning procs, like Overcharged Atmosphere, Bad Omen, and Boon Overload, were tested, and some of them do good damage, some of them don't. In general, some things are kept in the build because they help proc more Overcharged. But of course, this is a Chrome Staff build that uses lightning, and you guys will want to know, it should work well with basic attacks, right? What about things like Claw and Thunderstrike, are they good? Well, they do scale with things like Fulminate, which increases your lightning damage, and that's good. But there is quite a few problems with basic attacks. Things like Thunderstruck and Nature Skill damage that would buff Claw and Thunderstrike damage wouldn't buff your lightning aspects. So you'd end up dividing your multipliers between 2 sources of damage, ending up with 2 things that don't do enough damage, instead of 1 thing that does enough. Also, the only real way to make Claw and Thunderstrike make a meaningful amount of damage is getting 1000% crit damage from Rampaging Warbeast and Grizzly Rage. With Grizzly Rage, the build will then become a lot squishier though, because we are a melee build without Bulwark shields and low life mechanics, as we cannot use them with Grizzly Rage. Tornado at that point is just a better option. If you want to run Grizzly Rage builds, Tornado hits harder, has range and more healing. Also, as we said before, the demand has been for a build that is not just good, but has to be top tier in all content, PvP and PvE. The 1000% crit damage from Grizzly Rage isn't great for PvP as it's soft capped at 200%, so we wouldn't really get a good use out of it. So how would this version of the build without Grizzly Rage be in PvE? I tried running this tier 100 Nightmare dungeon with the worst setup possible. I removed the talent that makes Bulwark do damage. I would not suggest you do this. I took no Envenom on my amulet, which is losing 30% damage, and instead of using the PvE Paragon board, I used the PvP one that does a lot less damage in PvE. It has no heightened malice, and also because of some soft caps of stats, quite a few multipliers will skip it. But I wanted you to see the worst possible experience. We have two Paragon boards for you, and I will tell you my opinion on both. If you want to run T100, use the PvE board. It's still a beast in PvP. If you want instead to be the best possible at PvP but also farm nightmares in the 70s and 80s fine, then the PvP board is for you. I'm sure that hearing that there is a soft cap in PvP has piqued your interest, so besides heightened malice, which does not work in single target, what other things did we consider when making two different Paragon boards? A lot of the top players play Temerity in PvP. We already have a shield, so we don't need it. The reason is that barriers in PvP are kinda bullshit. It absorbs, so anything that requires damage to apply, like poison or the glyph exploit, don't work if you're using a shield. Also, if targets aren't poisoned, you do not get DR against poisoned, or damage against poison also wouldn't work. Some classes though do not run Temerity or shields, so it's still good to have a little bit of it, but not too deep of an investment. And if it wasn't enough that crit damage is kept at 200% in PvP, it also doesn't work on barriers. That's also why making a Rampaging Werebeast build in PvP, which has 1000 crit damage, isn't great. I will also go ahead and predict some of your questions, so I tested the aspect Exploiter. It doesn't work in PvP. 50% damage against unstoppable enemies does not seem to apply in PvP. On top of that, I tested the Conceited aspect that increases damage if you have a barrier. That also does not seem to work. A lot of Temerity players in the PvP community are still running this, but actually from my testing, it doesn't seem to work, even though some people say it works sporadically, and D4 is kind of a buggy mess at the moment. The aspect Overcharged also doesn't proc if they have a barrier, as it requires you to do damage, but don't worry about it. We have other lightning sources that proc and do a lot of damage, and that will get the shield down and then they get zapped. That's why you see people getting obliterated sometimes. I will also go ahead and make some considerations for you guys about, for example, running Disobedience or not. You want 9200 armor in PvP. If you don't have enough, you can run Disobedience. If you want to push high Nightmare dungeons, run Disobedience regardless, because at level 154, mobs want you to have 12,500 armor to reach the armor cap. This build is really tanky. Of course, we run same defense mechanics for Bulwark, so we run low life. This is very good as your Bulwark shield never goes down, keeping you perma immune to poison, exploit glyphs, and most importantly, CCs, making the build exactly as requested, good in both PvP and PvE at the same time. Gameplay loop video. I could do this, take the keyboard, you face on it and it's over. But let's pretend that it's not that easy and play the game a little bit and see how this gameplay loop. You have to fortify before you enter combat. We have a boon for that, that gives us a fortify every defensive skill, so that's easy. I'm running an 82 because I'm bad at talking and playing, so no 100. But good enough for, you know, PvP setup. Yeah, it's totally fine, and you know, the debilitating roar, it's actually a decent skill. Because we removed a lot of the DR against poisoned enemies. The uptime on Cataclysm is pretty good. Bulwark damage can take care of like single target a little bit more, and your lightning procs are really good for AoE. It's very nice. In the end, I try to go in with Hurricane whenever you can. Try to use Debilitating Roar on elites. And spam your Cataclysm off them, because, you know, you have it. It comes back. Look at the cooldown. Like, it comes back so easy. Don't be afraid of spamming it. Look at that. It's almost up again. It's not even over. So it's a very good build. I like it. It's different. It plays Cataclysm, which has always been, you know, a big fantasy for a lot of us. Some people fantasize about their loved ones, and druids about Cataclysm builds. Kind of how it goes. We have one now, and it's a good build. And I left a link in the description so that you guys can have the Paragon board. Oh fuck, I'm dead! I'm dead, yeah, I'm dead, I know that, okay. And Paragon board, you know, full guide, text guide with aspects and everything, mobilytics, but you guys have a fetish a little bit to watch the gear I have. It's not very good as I just transitioned to the build, but we can talk a little bit about it. So, Helm, not bad. You wanna have 60% barrier generation in total, because with 5 points in Earth and Bulwark, you're gonna get your shield to 100% of your base life, which is the maximum the shield can get at. After that, you know, we have a chest piece, we have Disobedience, because we are not armor capped. You can actually armor cap without Disobedience, if you can get to 12,500 armor. If you have like best in slot everything, but we kind of dog shit chest piece with Disobedience. If you are armor capped, you can run damage reduction while werewolf form, that's great. For the gloves, this is something I was testing, it does not work. The aspect here is bad, but you would want this one actually. You would want this aspect, which is the conduit. It's more lightning damage, but I was testing if unstoppable damage worked against PvP players, and it doesn't, so there is that. The stats though on the items are godlike. There is crit chance, storm skill cooldown for Cataclysm, and we have attack speed and lucky hit chance. That's really nice. Boots, move speed, they are injured. Chef kiss. Of course, they are injured also on the pants. Then damage reduction modifiers on the pants and aspect of might. Armor while in werewolf form, and then some stats. Cron staff with crit damage to vulnerable enemies, so we can reach the crit damage cap in PvP. And the amulet is just a bunch of DR, CDR, that's it. Try to not have damage reduction against poisoned. Unfortunately, I have some of it, but not much I can do about it. I think it's on my chest, actually. Yes. Or I remove it. Oh, I re-rolled it. Oh my god. And the ring with life, barrier generation, vulnerable, and crit chance. Again, you want to have a little bit. The life isn't great, but I don't have anything else. Of course, barrier regeneration, vulnerable, crit chance, lucky hit chance on the gloves. That's the perfect ring. And the aspect that the build is built around, the overcharged here. We have a basic skill attack speed, and of course a 12-second symbiotic on the amulet. And that's really it for the aspect and gear. Check out the best in slot stats on the website, and the aspect are gonna be there. It's gonna be keep getting updated. And this is my spare amulet with Envenom if you want more damage. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Consider liking and subscribing, which helps against the algorithm. And the Paragon for PvE is on the website, which the full talent guide is identical for both builds. If you want to install a PvP board, which is the only difference for Paragon, come to my stream, and there is a comment for the PvPers, which are the minority. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you on the next video. Mwah.